So basically, Brandt Gate looked at Barsagra and thought, I can do that better.
Stand up! Vanguard!
Hey Cardfighters, welcome back to another Cardfight update, and today we go over a brand new Brandt Gate Ride Line, which is called, I think, the Silhouette Ride Line, or the Attachment Ride Line, or the Hands Ride Line. But yeah, it's a new rider for Brandt Gate that brings, of course, a new set order mechanic to the game, including a brand new mechanic to the game as well on top of that. But more makes sense if we take a look at the cars themselves. But before we head into those cars, there's one more card that I want to highlight before that, which is a brand new Dark States card, which is, you could say, a Chronojet support card. But if we're gonna be honest, it's not really gonna be played for Chronojet, as we have this Grade 2 Space-Time Colossus of Scorching Flame, and it has the abilities, although when placed on a Vanguard circle by your Vanguard's ability cost counter +1, draw 1 card, and this unit gets power +5k until the end of turn. But it also has the ability on a Vanguard circle, when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, if your Vanguard's grade 4 or greater, counter charge 1. So it's an unhit counter charger, which of course interacts with your stride cards. But if we're gonna be honest, Chronojet doesn't suffer from counterblast issues all too much, so you don't really need the counter charger, and the unhit isn't also that too great. And its other effect, which allows to draw, sounds nice, is a 50k beater, but the way that you use this is by getting it out of with your Fate Rider, but that means you're not getting your other grade 2s, and more importantly, not your upstreams, which makes more combo plays, which can also go into GG, which also draws you cards, which doesn't use Counterblast. So this doesn't feel too great for Chronojet, and I think there might be more use case for other builds. And another major issue of this card is that in the mirror match, when you're gonna go to grade 2 gaming, this does absolutely nothing and only starts doing something like maybe at least at turn 4 or later at that point, which isn't that great. Now moving forward into the new Brandt Gate Ride Line, we have of course a new starter for this ride line, which is Silhouette Man, and Silhouette Man has just generic starter skills, so we can immediately move up to the grade 1, which is Garter Silhouette. And Garter Silhouette has the skill, although when units placed by riding from Silhouette Man, search your deck for up to 1 Machinery's Factory, reveal it and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So it searches for the brand new set order. So let's take a look at what this brand new set order can do. So Machinery's Factory is a grade 1 set order, so you can immediately play it, and its abilities are Act from Order Zone, cost Rest this card, look at top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Arms Armed in its card name from among them and reveal it. Put it into your hand if your drop has a card with the same card name, and discard it if your drop does not have it. If you put a card into your hand, put this card into your soul and shuffle your deck. So essentially it searches for one of the 2 arm cards that we have right now, it puts them into drop, setting up for other skills, and if you want to have them in your hand, you can search the same one that's already in your drop and then add it to your hand, but that means this card will go to the soul. The idea of this card is that you're searching both arm cards, set them up into your drop zone to set up for other skills, and then later down the line you can potentially just add it to your hand. But I don't think you want to do that, because it also has another effect, which is Act from Order Zone. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Silhouette in its card name cost, put this card into the soul, choose up to 2 cards with the Arms Armed in their different card names from your drop, and call them to an open rearguard circle. So you basically search out for one of the cards that is to your drop, set up both, and then once you hit grade 3, you can essentially put this thing to the soul and call them both to the field, which then gives you way more value, which allows you to set up for your grade 3 turns even better. But this can also be a late game consistency option, but more makes sense once we take a look at the other cards. So first off, we have this grade 2 armed card, which is Arms Right, which has the ability auto Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, and the Vanguard Circle part will make more sense later down the line. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Silhouette in its card name, cost Counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or greater rearguards, retire it, and this unit gets power +5k until the end of battle. So essentially it's a 15k attacker and a pop for a Counterblast, which isn't the greatest of value, but it's decent enough if you need some spot removal to have, as that's alright the trade value from a Counterblast for a pop. Now for the other one, which you can guess is Armed Arms Left, It has the ability Auto Vanguard and Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Silhouette in its card name, cost counter +1 and draw a card. which is fine value. It's a bit slower because your opponent needs to be grade 3, but counterblast 1 to draw a card. That's the minimum amount of value that I want to have from a counterblast skill. Now if we move forward into the ride line itself, we have the grade 2 of the ride line, which is Caesar's Silhouette, which has a skill auto. When the unit is rode upon by Gigant Arms Silhouette, choose up to 2 cards with armed arms in a different card name from your drop and call them to an open rigid circle. So this is the exact same skill we saw in the order card, but this just get it by riding up to grade 3. And now we can see what we can do for consistency plans, because we can use the order cards, set up those arms in the drop zone. Then once we ride to grade 3, we use this grade 2 effect to call them onto the field to set up our board. Once we lose those cards, we can use the order we got on turn 1 to grab those cards back from the drop zone onto the field if they get retired or something else, so we can at least get full combo at least 2 turns in a row if our opponent isn't doing anything to our field. Now to wrap everything all together, let's take a look at the grade 3 itself, which will make sense of what we are actually doing with these armed cards themselves. And for that grade 3, we have Gigant Arms Silhouette, and Gigant Arms has the effect auto and Vanguard Circle once a turn. At the beginning of your attack step, cost Soul Blast 1, choose up to 2 of your rear guards with armed arms in each of their different card names and attach them to this unit. Move the attached unit to the Vanguard Circle as stand. They cannot attack. The attached units gets their power continuously and they are moved to the rear guard circle as rest at the end of turn. So essentially, you just put those armed cards to this unit, and then you have one massive Vanguard swing. And it's essentially, for anybody that's been playing the game for a bit longer, this is Legion on steroids. As you add the powers on top of this unit, any additional power gain of those units themselves will also be translated to this new Vanguard. And any Vanguard Circle skill can activate, because this grade 3, you could say, gets those abilities as well. So if this unit attacks with those 2 equipped to it, you essentially can use both their pop and draw skill if all the conditions are right for that instance. And the great thing is, Persona Ride and front triggers are going to be insane here, because Persona Ride of course empowers your front row, but these units, once they equip to the Vanguard, still are units themselves, which means they still get the continuous power of the Persona Ride, thus making the Vanguard not a 33k plus 10k after Persona Ride at 43k. No, it's 33k base and then plus 30k because there's 3 units that gain Persona Ride power buffs. And this also translates with front triggers. So if you hit a front trigger while swinging with this Vanguard, your Vanguard doesn't get plus 10k, it gets plus 30k, because there's 3 units currently on the Vanguard Circle that all are attacking in one motion. So all of them are going to get the additional 30k power buff, which makes front triggers even more devastating, as that's really hard to guard at that point, as it's essentially PG or GG at that point, or at that stage of the game. But this isn't everything that the deck does, because it also has another effect, which auto Vanguard Circle. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, choose up to 1 of your units attached to this unit and move it to an open Vanguard Circle as stand. It is no longer attached after being moved. So you attack with your armed cards, then they attach to your Vanguard, and you swing with one massive one, and then one of those arms will detach and you can attack with it again. And the thing is, the powers increase will stay while moving, because you're moving them from Vanguard Circle to Vanguard Circle, which means they're still the same unit. This also means that if you hit something like a heal trigger, draw trigger, or critical trigger, and you put it on specifically one of the arms you're going to call out, that unit will retain that power gain as well. So that means trigger values are even more impactful with this deck, and that means any trigger you hit, even if it's a non-front trigger, will probably still go onto the Vanguard in some capacity, because you can get double the value once you detach that unit at the end of the battle, which makes for insane value gains here. And this, together with the setup of the set order, the grade 2 of the ride line, means you can have like 4 attacks consistently, at least for 2 turns in a row, without using any resources, because this whole thing doesn't cost any counterblast. Yes, it costs soul, but soul isn't anything your opponent can interact with, so that's going to be a really consistent pressure output. And if you manage to Persona Ride, this can be lethal very quickly if your opponent hasn't have options to guard your other attacks. Now granted, the rest of your attacks aren't that impactful because your grade 2s themselves are like low vanilla beat sticks themselves, and it's your Vanguard's gonna be impactful. But once you hit persona right numbers, that's when things are going to get a bit crazier because your rearguard columns themselves can be from decent size themselves. And there's one other support cards that help with this in some capacity, as we have another grade 1, which is Bustling Mechanic Rodney, which has the skill Continuous Rearguard Circle. If you have a Vanguard attached this turn, this unit gets power plus 10k. So this could be an 18k booster for your detached unit, or it could be an 80k booster behind your Vanguard, but I don't know if that's anything you want to do. I think it's much more impactful if you can put it onto the side column. So once you attack with your rearguards and you start attacking with your Vanguard, the next attack after that will have an 18k booster, which means those numbers are going to be pretty big even without persona riding. But then it also has another effect, which is auto and backward rearguard circle. At the end of battle, your Vanguard with Silhouette in its card name attacked, a grade 3 or greater Vanguard. If your front row has no rearguards, cost Soulless 1 and stand this unit. So this now could be a double booster unit because you have it as an 8k booster on the first swing of one of the arms cards. Then the arm cards will attach to your Vanguard. Then you attack with your Vanguard. Now the Vanguard ability will activate, but also this grade 1. You activate this grade 1 first, it restands, it becomes an 18k booster for the second swing, and now you detach one of the arms in front of this booster, so you have a massive column after that if you went second on the first grade 3 turn, or during the following grade 3 turns after that, with potential persona right numbers on top of that, could be pretty damn crazy. And that's basically all the support we've seen so far for this ride line. Now, in terms of what the deck does, it isn't too crazy, as it's basically 4 attacks, but it's 4 attacks in a very unique way that requires you to see specific pieces, because you have the set order, you need to have those 2 arms, and then you attach them and have like a massive Vanguard swing that then could translate into more multi-attacks on top of that, which is great. But the thing is, the arms themselves are relatively vanilla-ish units, as they don't do anything crazy. They're like 10k or the 15k, but it does cost counterblast, and it draws you cards or pops something, which isn't anything spectacular what other decks couldn't do or do better, but it's a neat way to have like a buff Sargram mechanic in a different package, as it allows you to multi-attack. And maybe we get some more support or more arms cards in the future that do something different or allow you to combo on top of everything that you're already doing. But an important thing to keep in mind is that the deck does require you to see both different arms. So essentially you're forced to play 4 copies of those grade 2s, because if you don't see them by turn 3, your deck doesn't really do anything. And yes, the order card helps with searching for it, but there is still a possibility you're not seeing both of them. You're just seeing one of them and not the other, which could be an issue. But that's basically all my thoughts on this new ride line. I'm very curious what you guys think of these cards, as they look pretty intense. You can have like a 63k Vanguard swing on the first persona right turn, and then front triggers make it plus 30k and whatnot. Like, it's insane numbers, but at the same time, the issue of maybe not seeing both arms could be problematic. So I'm very curious on what you guys' opinions are on these cards. So let me know in the comments down below all your thoughts on this new ride line, as well as the new Dark States card. Do you actually think it's going to be good for Chronojet, or do you think it's a good piece for a different ride line, as there's still other options in Dark State? So let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, this video has been brought to you by our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/VanguardInsider. You guys are amazing. If you want to support the channel or everything that's happening on the channel, you can simply go to patreon.com/VanguardInsider and become a patron today. But with that said, I've been Mr. Time Leap, and I'll see you guys in the next one!